Hi everyone! Today's question is all about the start of Passover. When is the first night of Passover in 2025? Let's break down the timing and what happens on this important night. The first night of Passover in 2025 will begin on Saturday, April 12th at sunset. This evening not only marks the start of Passover, but is also one of the most significant nights in the Jewish calendar. What makes it so special? It's the night of the Seder, a ritual meal that's filled with deep meaning and symbolism, designed to retell the story of the Exodus from Egypt. For thousands of years, Jewish families have gathered on this night to celebrate their freedom from slavery and reflect on the journey from oppression to liberation. The word Seder means order, and the meal follows a specific sequence, which is laid out in a text called the Haggadah. The Haggadah not only tells the story of the Exodus, but also guides participants through the evening's rituals, prayers, and symbolic foods. This is why the first night of Passover is so central. It's a night that brings families and communities together to relive and reflect on their shared history and the values of freedom and justice. The timing of the first night of Passover is rooted in the Jewish tradition of beginning days at sunset. In the Jewish calendar, holidays start the night before the date listed on the civil calendar. Since April 12, 2025 falls on a Saturday, the holiday will begin at sunset on Shabbat. What happens on the first night of Passover? The heart of the first night of Passover is the Seder, which is rich with rituals designed to engage all of the senses and immerse participants in the story of the Jewish people's liberation from Egypt. During the Seder, families read from the Haggadah, which recounts the 10 plagues, the hardships of slavery, and the miraculous escape from Egypt. The story is more than just a historical recounting. A key part of the Seder is the consumption of symbolic foods, each of which represents a different aspect of the Passover story. For instance, matzah, the unleavened bread, is eaten to remember the haste with which the Israelites fled Egypt, without having time for their dough to rise. Maror, or bitter herbs, is eaten to symbolize the bitterness of slavery. Charoseh, a sweet mixture often made from fruits, nuts, and wine, represents the mortar the Israelites used when building for the Egyptians. Karpas, a green vegetable, is dipped in salt water to symbolize the tears shed by the enslaved Israelites. These foods help participants experience the story in a tangible way, connecting them to their ancestors who lived through the original events of Passover. In addition to these foods, 4 cups of wine, or grape juice, are drunk at various points throughout the evening, symbolizing the 4 promises of redemption made by God to the Israelites in the Torah. One of the most famous parts of the Seder is the recitation of the 4 questions, typically asked by the youngest person at the table. These questions ask why this night is different from all other nights, prompting discussions about the customs of Passover, such as why matzah is eaten instead of leavened bread, or why bitter herbs are part of the meal. This tradition emphasizes the importance of education and the passing down of knowledge from one generation to the next. Differences between Israel and the diaspora. For those celebrating outside of Israel, the diaspora, there is a second Seder on the following night, April 13, 2025. This is part of the practice of Yom Tov Sheni Shel Galiot, or the second festival day in the diaspora. However, in Israel, there is only one Seder night, observed on April 12th. The holiday itself lasts 7 days in Israel, compared to 8 days in the diaspora, but the significance of the first night is the same everywhere. It's the time when families and communities come together to begin the observance of this ancient and meaningful festival. Community and family on the first night. Passover is not just about rituals and food, it's also about community and family. On the first night of Passover, Jewish families around the world invite their loved ones to join them at the Seder table. It is common for families to extend invitations to friends, neighbors, or even strangers who may not have a place to celebrate. In many communities, particularly in Israel and larger Jewish communities in the diaspora, public Seders are organized to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to take part in the festivities. This tradition of hospitality is rooted in the Jewish value of welcoming the stranger, which is emphasized in the Passover story itself, where the Israelites are reminded to show kindness and compassion to others, as they were once strangers in the land of Egypt. To summarize, the first night of Passover in 2025 is on April 12th, and it's a time to come together, reflect on the story of the Exodus, and celebrate the freedom that this festival represents. Whether you're hosting a Seder at home, attending a community Seder, or joining friends and family, This night is filled with meaning, tradition, and connection. If you want to learn more about the rituals of the Seder or the holiday of Passover in general, be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos.